Ada stared at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. 2 pink lines. Clear, unmistakable, pregnant. She sat on the bathroom floor of her small Lagos apartment, back against the cold tiles, processing what this meant. 25 years old, not married, but in a committed relationship, a man who talked about their future, about marriage, about the children they'd have someday. That someday had arrived sooner than planned. Daniel, her Daniel, they'd been together 18 months. Met at a business conference where she was representing her bank, and he was consulting on oil and gas projects. He'd made her laugh that first day, made her feel seen, made her believe in the kind of love her parents had. Steady, genuine, built to last. The only complication was his work schedule. As an oil and gas consultant, he traveled constantly between Lagos and Port Harcourt. He'd spend weekends and occasional weekdays with her in Lagos, then disappear to Port Harcourt for work, sometimes gone for a week, sometimes 2, but he always called, always texted, always made her feel like she mattered even when he wasn't physically present. Now she carried his child. Ada's initial panic gave way to cautious excitement. Yes, it wasn't planned. Yes, they weren't married yet, but they loved each other. They discussed marriage. This would just accelerate their timeline. She could surprise him with the news. Daniel was supposed to return to Lagos this Friday. But why wait? Why not surprise him in Port Harcourt instead? She could take the day off work, make the 6-hour drive, show up at his hotel with the pregnancy test, and see his face light up. Better yet, she'd get an ultrasound first, make it official, give him something tangible. Tuesday morning, Ada called in sick to the bank, went to a private clinic. The doctor confirmed. 6 weeks pregnant, gave her the ultrasound scan showing a tiny blob that would become their baby. Ada stared at that image all Tuesday night. Her child, their child, the beginning of their family. Wednesday, she planned a surprise. Daniel had mentioned his hotel in Port Harcourt, the place he stayed during work weeks. She'd book a room there too, surprise him Thursday evening. They'd spend the night celebrating, then drive back to Lagos together Friday. Perfect. Thursday morning, Ada left Lagos before dawn. The drive to Port Harcourt stretched long, 6 hours through traffic, bad roads, and her own nervous excitement. She'd packed the ultrasound scan in a gift box with a little note. "Daddy, I can't wait to meet you." She imagined his reaction. Shock first, then joy, then those strong arms wrapping around her, lifting her up, spinning her around like he did when he was happy. By 3 p.m. Thursday, she pulled into Port Harcourt. By 4 p.m., she'd checked into the hotel. By 5 p.m., she'd showered, changed into a nice dress, and stood in the hotel lobby with the gift box, asking the receptionist for Daniel's room number. "Mr. Daniel Okonkwo? Room 304. The receptionist said, then paused. "Oh, but he checked out this morning." Ada's heart sank. He checked out? But he's supposed to be here all week. He comes and goes. Very regular guest. But yes, checked out this morning. Do you know where he went? The receptionist looked uncomfortable. "I shouldn't really, but he went home. He always stays here during the week, then goes home to his house in Jare." His house? Ada's confusion must have shown on her face. "Yes, Ma. His house here in Port Harcourt, in Jare area. Beautiful house. I've dropped documents there before when he forgot them." The world tilted slightly. Daniel had a house in Port Harcourt. Not a hotel room. A house. He lived here. Permanently. Could you give me the address?" Ada heard herself ask. "It's urgent." A surprise. The receptionist, perhaps sensing a romantic gesture, smiled and wrote down the address. Ada took a taxi to the government-reserved area, the upscale neighborhood where Port Harcourt's wealthy lived. The houses were beautiful, gated, expensive. The taxi stopped in front of a lovely 2-story house painted cream and brown, flowers in the front yard, a nice car in the driveway, lights on inside despite the early evening hour. This was Daniel's house, the home he'd never mentioned, the permanent residence he'd hidden behind stories of work hotels and project sites. Ada approached the front door, gift box in hand, her excitement now mixed with confusion. Why hadn't he told her he owned a house here? Why all the hotel talk? She raised her hand to knock, then heard voices inside. The window beside the door was open, probably to let in the evening breeze. Sheer curtains obscured the view, but not the sound. Daniel's voice, clear as day. I love you too, Chioma. I miss you so much. Ada's hand froze mid-knock. Tell Mama I'll bring her the fabric she wanted from Lagos, the expensive lace she likes. Laughter, warm, intimate. No, girlfriend. You know you're my only one. Stop listening to your sister's gossip. More laughter. A woman's voice now, playful. They say a handsome man who travels must have someone in Lagos. They're wrong. My heart is here. With you. Always. I love you, my husband. I love you, my wife. The words hit Ada like physical blows. My husband. My wife. She stumbled backward from the door, nearly dropping the gift box. Her vision blurred with tears. Her chest couldn't find air. Through the sheer curtains, she could see movement inside. Daniel walking into the living room. A woman emerging from what must be the kitchen, carrying plates of food. The woman was beautiful, elegant wrapper and blouse, hair in neat braids. She set the plates on a dining table. Daniel kissed the woman's forehead, took her hand. They sat down at dinner together, like a couple who'd done this 1,000 times. Because they had. Because she was his wife. And Ada was, what? The side piece? The Lagos distraction? The other woman, who didn't even know she was other? Ada backed away from the window, turned, ran to where the taxi still waited. Take me back to the hotel, she managed to say through the tears now flowing freely. The driver, seeing her distress, asked no questions, just drove. Ada spent Thursday night in a hotel room she'd booked for celebration, crying into pillows she'd expected to share with the man she loved, the man who was married, the man who'd lied for 18 months, the man whose child she carried. Friday morning arrived with harsh clarity. Ada sat on a hotel bed, staring at the ultrasound scan, 6 weeks pregnant with a married man's child. She Googled abortion clinics in Port Harcourt, found one that offered same-day procedures, called and made an appointment for 2 p.m. Are you sure? The counselor on the phone asked gently. You don't have to decide today. I'm sure, Ada lied. She wasn't sure of anything except this. She would not be the woman who destroyed a marriage. She would not birth a child into deception. She would not let this innocent baby become the evidence of betrayal. The wife, Chioma, deserved better than to have her husband's affair child thrown in her face. And Ada's child deserved better than to be raised in the shadows of someone else's marriage. So she would end it. Quietly. Painfully. But she would end it. At 11 a.m. Friday, Ada checked out of the hotel. She'd go to the clinic at 2 p.m., then drive back to Lagos that evening and never speak to Daniel again. She'd block his number, delete every photo, erase every trace of the biggest mistake of her life. She was in the hotel lobby, pulling her small suitcase. When Daniel walked in, he froze when he saw her. She froze when she saw him. Ada! His face showed complete shock. What are you doing in Port Harcourt? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? She stared at the man she'd loved, the man she'd slept with, the man whose child she carried, the man who'd lied about every single thing. I wanted to surprise you, she said, her voice hollow. Surprise me? That's so sweet. He moved toward her, smiling, reaching for a hug. She stepped back. I went to your house. The smile died. His face went white. I heard you on the phone. With your wife, Chioma. The words fell like stones between them. Daniel's mouth opened, closed, open again. Ada, I can explain. You're married? Yes, but... You've been married this whole time. 18 months of lies. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Her voice rose, drawing looks from hotel staff and guests. She didn't care. You're married? You have a wife. Everything was a lie. Please, let's go somewhere private. Let me explain. Ada laughed bitterly. Explain what? How you forgot to mention your wife. How you accidentally didn't tell me you live in Port Harcourt with another woman. She reached into her purse, pulled out the ultrasound scan, and shoved it against his chest. This was supposed to be a surprise, too. A happy one. But I won't destroy your marriage. I'm handling it. Daniel caught the scan as she released it, looked down, and his face transformed. Shock, wonder, horror, joy, anguish, all in 3 seconds. We're having a baby? No, you have a wife. I'm having an abortion. This afternoon, at 2 p.m. No, Ada, please wait. There's nothing to wait for. You're married. I know I should have told you. But please, before you do anything, let me explain. There's something you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're a liar. You used me, and I won't bring a child into this mess. She grabbed her suitcase handle. Don't contact me again. Don't call. Don't text. We're done. Ada, please. My wife. She can't have children. The word stopped Ada mid-turn. She looked back at him. What? Daniel's hand shook holding the ultrasound scan. Chidinma, my wife, she's infertile. We've been trying for 7 years. 7 years. Ada, every doctor, every treatment, every prayer. She can't conceive. She can't carry a child. Ada stared at him, not knowing if this made things better or worse. So you thought you'd just get a baby from someone else? Use me as your personal surrogate. No, that's not. He ran his hands over his face. Please, 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes to explain everything. Then if you still want to go, I won't stop you. Ada looked at her watch. 11:15 a.m. Appointment at 2 p.m. She had time. And despite everything, she needed to understand. 5 minutes, she said, but not here. They went to the hotel restaurant, sat in a corner booth. Ada ordered tea she wouldn't drink. Daniel ordered nothing, just sat across from her with that ultrasound scan on the table between them like evidence at a trial. Tell me, Ada said coldly. Tell me everything. And Daniel began to talk. Daniel's hands wrapped around a coffee cup he'd finally ordered but hadn't touched. His eyes were red-rimmed, focused on the ultrasound scan lying on the table between them. I married Chidinma 7 years ago, he began quietly. I was 25. She was 23. We've been dating for 3 years. I loved her. I still love her. That was never a lie. Ada's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. She promised him 5 minutes. In our culture, you know this. Children are everything. The fruit of marriage. The purpose of joining two families. We started trying immediately. He paused, pain crossing his face. Month after month, nothing. We thought we were being impatient. But after a year, we got worried when the doctors, tests, so many tests, blood work, ultrasounds, procedures. His voice cracked. The results came back. Chidinma has severe endometriosis. Her fallopian tubes are scarred. Her uterine lining is compromised. Natural conception was classified as highly unlikely. Medical terms for it won't happen. Ada felt an unwanted stab of sympathy. She pushed it away. That's tragic, but it doesn't justify lying to me for 18 months. I know. I'm not trying to justify. I'm trying to explain. Daniel finally looked up at her. Do you know what happens to childless couples in our culture? Especially when it's the woman who can't conceive. Ada knew. Everyone knew. Childless women were pitted, blamed, pressured, called cursed. My family started immediately. Leave her. She's broken. Find someone else. You're wasting your bloodline. My mother literally said that, wasting my bloodline. Bitterness colored his words. My uncle suggested I take a second wife. My cousins asked if I tried traditional healers to fix her. Her family was worse. Her own mother cried at family gatherings. Her sisters avoided bringing their children around her because it was insensitive. Her aunties prayed over her like she was possessed. Break the curse of barrenness, they'd shout at church. He looked down again. I watched her break. slowly, every negative pregnancy test. She'd apologize to me. I'm sorry I can't give you children. I'm sorry I'm not a good wife. I'm sorry I'm failing you. She told me, multiple times, that she'd understand if I left, that she wouldn't blame me, that I deserved children, and she couldn't give them to me. Ada's anger wavered slightly. She understood the weight Chioma must have carried, the shame, the expectations. But still, so you cheated on her instead of leaving her? I refused to leave her. Daniel's voice rose, then dropped when other diners looked over. Everyone expected me to. Everyone said I should. But I loved her. I married her. She didn't fail me. Her body failed her. There's a difference. But you still wanted children. Yes. Simple, honest, painful. I wanted children. Desperately. That desire doesn't disappear just because you're being a good husband. I'd see fathers with their sons, mothers with their daughters, families at church, children playing, and feel this ache. He looked directly at Ada. I'm 32 years old. My parents are aging. My mother keeps saying, I want to hold my grandchild before I die. My father has no one to pass his name to. The family legacy ends with me if I stay with Chioma. But I stayed anyway, because leaving her would make me exactly what my family already thinks she is, worthless without a womb. So I stayed. I love her, but I was also dying inside, mourning children I'd never have. Ada felt tears threatening. She blinked them away. So where do I fit in this tragic story? Daniel was quiet for a moment. 2 years ago, we tried IVF. Our last chance. We sold property to afford it. 3 rounds. Each one failed. Chioma cried for weeks after the final failure. Stopped leaving the house. Stopped talking. Just broke. I needed to breathe. The house felt like a tomb. Everything in Port Harcourt reminded me of what we'd lost. So I started taking contracts in Lagos. Real contracts. The work was real, but also escape. And then I met you at that conference. You were smart, funny, alive, and you didn't know me, didn't know about my situation. With you, I could just be Daniel, not the man whose wife can't have children, not the husband who stays out of pity, just me. Ada's voice was ice. So I was your escape fantasy? At first, maybe, but then I fell in love with you, really loved you. And I told myself maybe I could have both, the wife I loved but couldn't leave, and the relationship that made me feel alive again. So yes, I lied. I compartmentalized. I created 2 lives. And I knew it was wrong every single day. But I did it anyway because I'm selfish and weak and desperate. The 5 minutes had passed. Ada should have left, but she couldn't move. Why are you telling me this? Daniel picked up the ultrasound scan. Because you're pregnant with my child. The child I've wanted for 7 years. The child Chioma cries herself to sleep, wishing she could give me. And because when you said you're ending the pregnancy, I realized I'm about to lose the only thing I wanted more than anything else in the world. Ada's voice shook. You wanted to have this baby? So you can have your wife and your child with someone else? So I can be your secret second family. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm asking. I just know... His voice broke. I just know I don't want you to end this pregnancy because I'm a coward who lied. This baby is innocent. This baby is wanted. So wanted by me. And if you want it too. He looked at her desperately. Please don't make this decision because you're angry at me. Make it because of what you actually want. Ada stared at this broken man across from her. The man she'd loved. The man who betrayed her. The father of the child she carried. What did she want? She wanted to not be in this situation. She wanted the last 18 months to have been real. She wanted Daniel to have been single like he'd claimed. But that wasn't reality. Reality was, she was pregnant. He was married. His wife was infertile. African culture expected him to either leave his wife or take a second wife for children. He'd chosen neither option and hurt everyone instead. I'm still going to clinic, Ada said finally. Daniel's face crumpled. But she surprised herself. Not today. I'll reschedule. I need more than 5 minutes to think about this. Thank you. Ada, thank you. Don't thank me. I haven't decided anything except that I won't make this decision in a hotel restaurant while I'm furious. She stood up. I'm going back to Lagos. Don't call me. Don't text me. If I decide to keep this baby, I'll contact you. If I don't, you'll never hear from me again. Okay, whatever you need. He stood too. But Ada, can I ask one thing? What? If you decide to keep the baby, would you consider meeting Chioma before you make your final decision? Ada stared at him like he'd lost his mind. You want me to meet your wife? I know how insane that sounds, but she deserves to know. If there's going to be a child, my child, she deserves to be part of that decision, not after the fact. Now, you want me to tell your wife I'm pregnant with your baby? Ada's voice rose. Do you hate her? Do you want to destroy her? I want honesty. Finally, completely, no more secrets. Daniel's eyes were desperate. If this baby is going to exist, it can't start with more lies. Ada shook her head. You're asking too much. I know, but think about it. Please. She left the restaurant without answering, left the hotel, got in her car, and started the long drive back to Lagos. The ultrasound scan sat in her purse. The appointment card for the abortion clinic sat in her wallet. And in her womb, a cluster of cells was becoming a baby who didn't ask to be part of this mess. What did Ada want? The truth was more complicated than she wanted to admit. She wanted this baby. She'd felt joy when she saw that pregnancy test. She'd felt wonder looking at the ultrasound. She'd imagined a child with Daniel's smile in her eyes. But she also didn't want to be the other woman. Didn't want to destroy a marriage. Didn't want to raise a child in secrecy and shame. And somewhere in Port Harcourt, there was a woman named Chioma who had no idea her husband had gotten his girlfriend pregnant. That woman deserved to know. Maybe Daniel was right about one thing. Whatever decision Ada made, it should be made with honesty. All the cards on the table. No more secrets. When Ada got back to Lagos that evening, she didn't unpack. She sat on her bed with her phone, staring at Daniel's number. Finally, she typed, set up a meeting. You, me, and your wife. If I'm going to make this decision, she deserves to have a say. His response came immediately. Thank you. I'll arrange it. When Ada thought about the life growing inside her, about the woman who couldn't grow her own, about the man caught between them. This week, before I change my mind, I'll call you tomorrow with details. Ada, thank you for giving us this chance. Ada didn't respond. She just set down her phone and cried. For the baby she might not keep, for the love she'd lost, for the wife she'd unknowingly wronged, and for herself, caught in an impossible situation with no good answers. But at least now, whatever happened next would happen with truth. No more lies, even if the truth destroyed them all. After she overheard him say, I love you, to his wife. 18 months of lies shattered in one phone call. She was ready to abort that same day, but then he dropped the truth bomb. His wife can't have children, and African culture expect him to leave or take a second wife, but he refused both options. Now she's agreed to meet the wife before making her decision. This is about to get complicated. Have you ever discovered a relationship was built on lies? How did you handle it? What would you do in Ada's position? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're hooked on this story and want to see what happens when these three people meet face to face, smash that like button and subscribe to African Tales by Zion for stories that explore the real complexity of love, tradition, and impossible choices. Next chapter will blow your mind with the most unconventional solution you've ever seen. 3 days after that conversation, Ada found herself sitting in a private room at a restaurant in Port Harcourt. Neutral territory. Public enough to feel safe. Private enough to have the most uncomfortable conversation of her life. She'd arrived first. Deliberately, she wanted to be seated, composed, in control when they walked in. When SHE walked in, Chioma, the wife, at 6 p.m. exactly, the door opened. Daniel entered first, his face tight with anxiety. Behind him came a woman who made Ada's breath catch. Chioma was beautiful, not in a flashy way, but in that refined, elegant way that spoke of education and class. She wore a traditional wrapper and blouse in deep blue, her hair braided into an intricate updo. She carried herself with dignity despite what must have been crushing humiliation. Their eyes met. Ada saw pain there, but also curiosity. And something else, resignation, maybe? Ada, Daniel said awkwardly. This is my wife, Chioma. Chioma, this is Ada. Chioma extended her hand. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I know it must be difficult. Ada shook her hand, surprised by the firmness of the grip. Yes, it is. They sat, Daniel between them, literally caught in the middle. Silence stretched awkward and heavy. Finally, Chioma spoke. My husband told me everything. About your relationship. About... She paused, composure wavering. About the pregnancy. Ada felt shame flood through her. I didn't know he was married. I swear I would never have. I believe you. Chioma's voice was steady. Daniel is very good at compartmentalizing his life. I should know. I've lived with him for 7 years. The words held an edge, but not accusation. Just tired truth. How long have you known? Ada asked. About me? I suspected for about 6 months. Wives know. We always know. Chioma smiled sadly. The way he'd talk about Legos like it was more than work. The distance between us. The happiness that didn't include me. She looked at Daniel. I didn't confront you because I was waiting for you to leave me, because that's what men do when their wives can't give them children. Chioma, Daniel started. Let me finish. She held up a hand. I've spent 7 years knowing I was living on borrowed time. Every family gathering where relatives asked about children, I'd watch you deflect and wonder, is this the day he finally leaves? Every doctor's appointment that ended with bad news, I'd go home and wait for you to pack your bags. Tears fell now. She didn't wipe them away. My own mother told me I should give you permission to take a second wife. My sister said I was selfish for holding you back. My mother-in-law prayed over me to break the curse of barrenness while looking at me like I was defective. Ada felt her own tears rising. This woman's pain was palpable. I've lived 7 years as the wife who failed. The marriage everyone pities. The woman everyone knows will eventually be replaced. Chioma looked directly at Ada. So when Daniel told me you were pregnant, part of me thought, finally, now he can leave with a reason. Now this torture can end. I don't want him to leave you, Ada said quickly. That's not why I'm here. Then why are you here? Good question. Why was she here? Because, Ada said slowly, I was going to have an abortion to avoid destroying your marriage. But Daniel said you should know that you deserve to be part of this decision. And he's right. This affects all of us. Chioma studied her. You were going to abort to protect my marriage? Yes. Why? Because Ada struggled for words. Because I'm not a homewrecker. Because you didn't do anything wrong. Because African culture already destroys childless women enough without me adding to it by having your husband's baby. Chioma was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. Don't abort that baby because of me. Ada stared. What? Don't end your pregnancy to protect my marriage, because my marriage is already broken. Chioma's voice was firm despite her tears. Not because of you, because of what we can't have. We've been dying slowly for 7 years under the weight of expectations and disappointment. She looked at Daniel. I love you. I do. But we've both been in mourning. Me for the children I can't give you. You for the children you'll never have. If this baby is aborted to save us, it's not salvation. It's just more loss. Daniel reached for Chioma's hand. She let him take it. What are you saying? He asked quietly. I'm saying... Chioma took a shaky breath. I'm saying that if Ada wants this baby, she should have it. The words hung in the air like something dangerous and strange. You want me to have your husband's baby? Ada asked, disbelief clear. I want my husband to have a child. I want him to stop mourning what I can't give him. I want to stop feeling like I'm ruining his life by existing. Chioma looked at both of them. And maybe there's a way we all get something instead of everyone losing everything. What way? Daniel asked. Chioma turned to Ada. In traditional Igbo culture, when a wife couldn't have children, sometimes another woman, a sister, a friend, sometimes a chosen woman, would bear children from marriage. The children would be raised as the first wife's, with the biological mother acknowledged, but the first wife as the social mother. You want me to give you my baby? Ada's voice rose. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. Chioma's hands twisted in her lap. I'm suggesting something different. Something that probably doesn't have a name yet. She looked between them. What if we co-parent? Not as first wife and second wife. Not as husband stealing mistress. But as three adults who acknowledge this complicated situation and choose to handle it honestly. Ada shook her head. That's insane. Completely insane, Chioma agreed. But what's the alternative? You abort the baby. Everyone loses. You have the baby and raise it alone. You're a single mother. Daniel never knows his child. I remain childless. And shame follows all of us. Daniel divorces me and marries you. I'm destroyed. You get a man who lied to you. And the baby starts life as a reason a marriage ended. She leaned forward. Or we create something new, honest, unconventional, where the baby is loved by three parents instead of hidden by one. Daniel looked between them. You're serious. I don't know, Chioma admitted, but I know I'm tired of secrets, tired of pretending, tired of shame. If we're going to implode anyway, shouldn't we at least try something true? Ada's mind raced. This was crazy. Society would never accept it. Their families would explode. Churches would condemn them. But what would it actually look like? Ada heard herself ask. For the next 2 hours, three people who should have hated each other tried to design the impossible. By the end, they had something. Not a perfect solution, but an honest one. Ada would keep the baby, raise it, be its biological and primary mother. Daniel would be its father, openly, supporting financially and emotionally. Chioma would be something, and he maybe family friend, whatever they decided, but she'd be in the child's life. Daniel wouldn't divorce Chioma, wouldn't take Ada as a second wife, would maintain his marriage while acknowledging his child with Ada. They'd tell their families a modified truth. Daniel was helping a single mother, family friend, who got pregnant by someone who abandoned her. Later, when the child was older, they might reveal the full truth. But for now, they'd protect the child from immediate scandal. This could destroy all of us, Daniel said. Yes, both women agreed. But keeping secrets definitely will, Ada added. So we try this? Chioma asked. We actually try this insane arrangement? Ada looked at the ultrasound scan she brought. 6 weeks of cells becoming a baby. A baby she wanted. A baby Daniel wanted. A baby Chioma couldn't have, but was willing to love anyway. We try it, Ada said. For the baby. Not for us. For the innocent child who didn't ask for this mess. Daniel nodded. Chioma nodded. And three people who should have been enemies became something else entirely. Co-conspirators in the most unconventional family Legos had ever seen. 6 months later, Ada stood in her new apartment in Port Harcourt, 7 months pregnant, and arguing with Chioma about baby room colors. Soft yellow is neutral, Chioma insisted, holding up a paint sample. Soft yellow looks like old butter, Ada countered. Mint green is better. Mint green will show every stain. So will yellow. They were both laughing now. This had become their routine, mock arguments about nursery details, baby names, feeding schedules for a child that wasn't even born yet. Daniel walked in carrying bags from the baby store. I bought diapers. 5 boxes. Is that enough? Both women stared at him. For the first month, maybe, Ada said. You need at least 20 boxes for the first 3 months, Chioma added. Daniel looked panicked. 20 boxes? Welcome to parenthood. Both women said in unison, then dissolved into laughter. The first 3 months after that meeting had been brutal. Ada had moved to Port Harcourt, closer to Daniel, to medical care, to the unconventional family structure they were building. Her Lagos bank had transferred her to the Port Harcourt branch. Telling their families the partial truth had gone about as well as expected. Ada's mother. You're pregnant? By who? Why are you protecting this man? Ada, it's complicated, Mama. Just know I'm handling it. Ada's father. This Daniel who's helping you. What's his interest? Men don't help single mothers out of kindness. Ada, he's a good man. That's all you need to know right now. Daniel's family. You're supporting a single mother? That's charitable, but people will talk. Daniel, let them talk. She's a friend. She needs help. Daniel's mother is suspicious. Your wife is fine with this? This close friendship with a pregnant woman? Daniel, carefully. Chioma and I discussed it. We're all adults. Chioma's family. You're allowing your husband to support another woman? Have you no pride? Chioma, I have plenty of pride. I also have compassion. She's alone. We're helping. Chioma's sister, bitter. This is what happens when you can't give your husband children. He finds them elsewhere and you have to smile and accept it. The words had cut deep, but Chioma held firm. The pregnancy progressed. Doctor's appointments happened. Daniel attended some. Chioma attended others. Sometimes all three went together, drawing curious looks from medical staff. Is this the father? Nurses would ask. Yes, Ada would say. Is this the grandmother? They'd ask Chioma. No, Chioma would say. I'm family, close family. The looks they got made it clear people didn't quite know what to make of them. Neither did they, honestly. But something unexpected was happening. The three of them were becoming, not friends exactly, but something. Ada and Chioma talked almost daily. About pregnancy symptoms, about fear, about the future. Chioma had researched everything Ada was going through. She'd spent 7 years researching pregnancy she never experienced. My back hurts, Ada would complain. Here, Chioma would say, showing her stretches that helped. And sleep with a pillow between your knees. I'm craving okra soup. I'll make some tomorrow. Come for lunch. Daniel split his time between both houses now, openly. His family knew he spent evenings at the friend's house. His mother disapproved but didn't interfere. Yet, one evening, 7 months pregnant, Ada felt the baby kick hard. Oh, Chioma was there. What's wrong? The baby's kicking. Really hard. Can I? Chioma looked hesitant. Ada understood. You want to feel? Chioma nodded, looking vulnerable in a way Ada had never seen. Ada took Chioma's hand, placed it on her belly. They waited. Then thump. Chioma's eyes widened. I felt it. Oh my God, I felt the baby. Tears streamed down her face. I never thought I'd feel this. A baby moving. Life. Ada felt her own tears. She likes you already. I think it's a girl. I don't know why. Just a feeling. They sat there, Chioma's hand on Ada's belly, both crying for different reasons that somehow overlapped. At 8 months, Ada's water broke early. Hospital. Panic. Daniel rushed from a work site. Chioma was already there. She'd been visiting when labor started. We need to reach the father, nurses said urgently. He's coming, Chioma assured them. Are you the mother? A nurse asked Chioma, confused. No, I'm... Chioma looked at Ada, unsure how to answer. Ada, between contractions. She's my sister, in all the ways that matter. Chioma squeezed her hand. I'm not leaving you. Thank you. Daniel arrived. Into delivery room. Chioma waited outside. Not family by traditional definition. Not allowed in. 8 hours of labor. Finally, at 3:47 a.m., a baby girl entered the world. Crying. Healthy. Perfect. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Full head of dark hair. Big eyes that would eventually turn brown. Daniel cut the cord. Crying. Held his daughter. She's beautiful. Thank you. Ada, thank you. Ada, exhausted, reached for her baby. Held her. Felt overwhelming love crash over her. But she also felt something else. Awareness of a woman sitting outside, waiting to meet this child who would change all their lives. Can you bring Chioma in? Ada asked the nurse. She's not immediate family. Please, Ada insisted. She's important. Please. The nurse, seeing something in Ada's face, relented. Chioma entered tentatively. Saw the baby. Stopped breathing. Come here, Ada said quietly. Chioma approached. Looked down at the newborn. Do you want to hold her? Ada asked. I shouldn't. She's not. She's ours, Ada said firmly. All of ours. That's what we agreed. Hold your daughter. Daniel carefully transferred the baby to Chioma's arms. Chioma looked down at this tiny human, this miracle she couldn't create but could still love. Hello, small one, she whispered. I'm your Auntie Chi, and I'm going to love you so much. The baby's tiny hand gripped Chioma's finger. She already loves you back, Ada said. The three adults stood there, new parents in the strangest definition of the word, and cried together. Outside, nurses whispered. Inside, a family that didn't fit any traditional mold had just been born alongside a baby girl. They named her Chidinma. God is good. Middle name, Chioma. Good God. Because both mothers deserve to be honored, and because sometimes God's goodness looks nothing like what tradition expects. Chidinma was 3 months old when Daniel's mother arrived unannounced at Ada's apartment. Ada answered the door, baby on her hip, and froze. Mama, Daniel's mother, Mama Okonkwo, stood there with the kind of look that meant trouble. May I come in? Ada had no choice. Yes, Mama. Mama Okonkwo entered, her eyes scanning everything. The baby items, the photographs on the wall, the way baby Chidinma had Daniel's exact nose and Ada's eyes. This baby looks very much like my son, she said carefully. Ada's heart pounded. Many babies look like many people. This is Daniel's child, isn't it? The moment of truth had arrived sooner than expected. Ada could lie, continue the charade. Or, yes, she said quietly. She's Daniel's daughter. Mama Okonkwo sat down heavily. So it's true. My son had a child with another woman while married. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. The older woman's composure cracked. You're the other woman, the one who destroyed my son's marriage. No, a voice said from the door. Chioma stood there with a key Ada had given her. She came by daily to help with the baby. I didn't destroy anything, Chioma continued, entering. If anything, I'm the one who insisted this arrangement happen. Mama Okonkwo stared at her daughter-in-law. You knew? You approved? I participated, Chioma corrected. Mama, may I tell you the full story? For the next hour, Chioma explained everything. The 7 years of infertility, the pressure, the pain, the affair, the pregnancy, the decision to co-parent openly. Mama Okonkwo listened in silence. Finally, this is unacceptable. Daniel must choose, wife or mistress. No, Chioma said firmly. We've already chosen. All of us. We choose honesty. We choose this child. We choose family, even if it looks different from what you expected. People will talk. Let them talk, Chioma replied. They already talked about me being barren. Now they can talk about this. I'd rather be talked about for choosing grace than for being pitted as abandoned. Mama Okonkwo looked at baby Chidinma sleeping peacefully in Ada's arms. My granddaughter. Yes, Ada said. Your granddaughter. And you're both raising her? Yes. This is madness. Yes, both women agreed. But it's our madness. Mama Okonkwo stood. Ada braced for condemnation. Instead, I want to hold my granddaughter. Ada carefully transferred the baby. Mama Okonkwo looked down at Chidinma's face. She has Daniel's nose. My late husband's nose. Tears fell. I thought I'd never have grandchildren. I blamed Chioma. God forgive me, I blamed her. It wasn't her fault, Ada said. It was never anyone's fault. No, Mama Okonkwo agreed. It was biology. Cruel biology. She looked at both younger women. But this solution, this unconventional thing you created, it's given me what I'd lost hope for. A grandchild. So you approve? Chioma asked carefully. I don't understand it. But I see that baby loved by 3 people trying their best. And maybe, she smiled through tears, maybe that's better than being raised by 2 people full of secrets. Over the next months, both families slowly learned the truth. Reactions varied. Some were horrified. Ada's aunt refused to speak to her for months. Some of Chioma's relatives accused her of having no pride, but others surprised them. Ada's mother, after the shock wore off, "At least the baby has a father who claims her. At least you're not doing this alone." One of Daniel's uncles. "In our grandfather's time, this wouldn't be strange. Families were complicated. We've just forgotten how to be flexible." Chioma's younger sister. "You're braver than I could ever be. Choosing to love your husband's child with another woman? That's not weakness. That's strength." The first year was hardest. Establishing boundaries, figuring out logistics, answering invasive questions. But slowly, a rhythm emerged. Chidinma had 2 homes. Spent 3 days a week at Ada's, 4 days at Daniel and Chioma's house. Both homes felt like home. She had 2 mothers. Called Ada Mommy and Chioma Mama Chi. Both women breastfed her when possible. Chioma had induced lactation to medication, desperate to participate in even this. Daniel split his time between both houses. Openly now. No more secrets. No more compartmentalizing. When Chidinma was 2, something miraculous happened. Chioma discovered she was pregnant after 9 years of infertility, 9 years of negative tests, 9 years of grief. She was pregnant. Doctors called it a spontaneous pregnancy. Said sometimes the body just changes. No explanation. She was terrified. After so many losses, so much pain. She didn't tell anyone for 4 months. But at 16 weeks, the pregnancy held. At 20 weeks, ultrasound showed a healthy baby boy. At 38 weeks, Chioma gave birth to a son, Chukwudi Okonkwo. God is great. Daniel held his son, crying. I never imagined. Chioma, exhausted but radiant. God has a sense of humor. We create this whole unconventional arrangement, and then he gives us a traditional miracle. Ada visited the hospital, held baby Chukwudi. He's beautiful. Congratulations. Thank you, Chioma said, for everything, for giving us Chidinma, for teaching me that family doesn't have to look one way. Thank me? You taught me that grace is stronger than tradition. They smiled at each other. These 2 mothers who'd started as rivals and become something like sisters. 5 years later, Chidinma and Chukwudi played together like any siblings. They fought over toys, shared secrets, protected each other at school. Yes, their family structure confused people. Teachers didn't know who to call for parent-teacher conferences. All 3 showed up. Other parents gossiped, but the children were happy, loved, secure. One day, Chidinma, now 6, smart and observant, asked, Mommy, Ada, why do I have 2 mommies? The question they'd been preparing for. Ada looked at Chioma, who'd come for dinner as usual. They discussed this moment. Because, Ada said carefully, sometimes families don't look like everyone else's, but that doesn't make them less real. Chioma added, You grew in Mommy Ada's belly. That makes her your mother. But I chose to love you from the moment you were born. That makes me your mother, too. So I have 2 mommies, and Chukwudi has 1 mommy? Chukwudi grew in my belly, Chioma explained. But Mommy Ada loves him like her own, too. So we both have 2 mommies? The women looked at each other and laughed. Yes, basically. Chidinma thought about this. That means more people to love us. Exactly, Daniel said, entering with Chukwudi. More people to love you. Is that okay? It's great, Chidinma decided. Sarah at school only has 1 mommy. I have 2. I'm lucky. 10 years after that devastating phone call, Ada found herself at a family gathering. Both families, hers and Daniel's and Chioma's, mingled at Mama Okonkwo's house, celebrating Chidinma's 10th birthday. The girl ran around with her brother and cousins, happy, confident, knowing exactly who she was and where she came from. Daniel and Chioma stood together, still married, still committed. watching their children play. Ada stood nearby, single. She'd dated but never remarried. Some relationships end in parenting, not partnership. No regrets. Chioma asked Ada quietly. So many regrets, Ada admitted. I regret the lies, regret the pain, regret how we started. But I look at that girl. Ada nodded at Chidinma. And I can't regret her. She's the best thing I ever did, even if the circumstances were terrible. Chioma nodded. I thought I'd die without children. Thought my marriage would end. Thought I'd lose everything. And now I have 2 children. A marriage built on truth instead of secrets. And a friend I never expected. She looked at Ada. You gave me more than a goddaughter. You gave me hope that even broken things can be remade into something beautiful. Mama Okonkwo approached with cake. Time to sing for my granddaughter. The 3 parents gathered with both children. The extended family joined in, singing happy birthday to a girl who was loved by more people than tradition said she should have. As Chidinma blew out candles, Ada thought about that day in the hotel restaurant. The day she'd planned to have an abortion. The day she discovered the man she loved was married. She'd wanted to end the pregnancy, to protect a marriage. Instead, she'd been part of creating a family that defied every rule she'd been taught. And somehow, impossibly, unconventionally, against all odds, it worked. Not because it was easy, not because society approved, not because it followed tradition, but because 3 broken people had chosen honesty over secrets, grace over pride, and love over judgment. And from that choice, 2 children have been born into a family that loved them fiercely, even if that family looked nothing like anyone expected. Asterisk from I'm ending the pregnancy to 2 children, 3 parents, and 1 unconventional family. Chioma got her miracle pregnancy after 9 years. Baby Chikwudi born. Both children raised as siblings. Both mothers raising both children. Chidinma, 10, says, I'm lucky I have 2 mommies. And the family that started with betrayal has been rebuilt on truth, grace, and love. What's your biggest lesson from this story? Honesty heals more than secrets. Grace is stronger than tradition. Family can be redefined. Infertility doesn't mean childlessness. Children thrive on love, not rules. Share your takeaway in the comments. If this story moved you, challenged you, or made you see family differently, smash that like button. Share with anyone facing impossible choices about relationships, pregnancy, or family. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion with notifications on for more stories that prove love doesn't fit in boxes. Grace defeats judgment, and families can be built on truth even after betrayal. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones society never imagined possible. And sometimes choosing grace over pride changes everything. Thank you for watching. May you always have the courage to choose love over tradition when it truly matters. Asterisk.